Learning English with English Faculties.
Hey everyone, let's jump straight into this because today we are tackling a massive one. This explainer is your ultimate no-nonsense revision guide for Rabindranath Tagore's absolutely stunning yet brilliantly complex short story, Atithi. If you're an ISC Class 12 student staring down your board exams, or honestly just someone who really appreciates a deep psychological literary analysis, you are exactly where you need to be. We're going to decode the characters, unpack the hidden themes, and, most importantly, give you the exact strategies and quotes you need to write those high-scoring board answers. Let's get into it.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with context and themes, move into a detailed Tarapada character sketch, trace CHARUSHASHI'S evolution, break down the essential symbols, and cap it all off with a dedicated ISC exam guide. Before we get lost in the textual details, I want you to keep this one massive question floating in the back of your mind. How do you choose between the warmth of a loving family and the undeniable call of absolute freedom? Because really, this is the central, beating heart of our story. Tagore is constantly asking us to weigh the cozy, predictable comfort of domestic stability against this unquenchable, restless urge to just wander. It's a conflict I think we all face at some point, right? But for our protagonist, it's not just a passing thought. It is literally the defining struggle of his entire existence.
All right, Section 1. Context and themes. Let's look at the world of Atithi.
Now, you might be wondering, why start with the title? Well, the title itself is a massive clue to the whole story. Atithi translates literally to guest, or, more accurately, a chance-comer. It refers to someone who arrives without a fixed tithi, meaning without a scheduled date or warning. Now, we all know the Indian cultural ethos of Atithi Devo Bhava. The guest is equivalent to God, right? We revere our guests. But Tagore is a genius, and he flips this on its head to show us a real paradox. He illustrates how excessive hospitality, and even genuine love, can actually start to feel like a suffocating trap to a truly free spirit. Motilal Babu and Annapurna, the hosts, they want to love this boy so much that they inadvertently try to own him, and for a chance-comer, that's terrifying.
To really nail your analysis, you have to understand the era. This story is deeply grounded in the late 19th century Bengal Renaissance. Tagore, who you know became the first Indian Nobel laureate in 1913, was heavily influenced by the progressive, reformist ideas of the Brahmo Samaj. What does that mean for you? It means Tagore was actively steering Indian literature away from those loud, over-the-top theatrical melodramas. Instead, he zooms way in on psychological realism. In Atithi, you aren't going to find any mustache-twirling villains. There is no traditional bad guy. The conflict is entirely internal. It's the silent, invisible battle between the societal roles we're expected to play, like settling down and getting married, versus the desire for complete, unapologetic individual autonomy.
Okay, moving to Section 2. Let's talk about Tarapada, the deciduous wanderer.
Listen, if you get a 10-mark question asking for Tarapada's character sketch, this cable is quite literally your cheat code. We are using the acronym deciduous. Why? Because just like a deciduous tree naturally sheds its leaves and adapts to the changing seasons without ever uprooting itself, Tarapada adapts to whatever environment he's in, yet his core remains completely unbound. Let's break this down letter by letter for your essays. D is for detached. This kid is totally unmoved even when his own mother weeps for him or when an entire village begs him to stay. E stands for enigmatic. He's driven by this deeply mysterious inner urge to explore. Now C is fascinating. He is actually conventional. He isn't a rebel shouting against the system. He respects traditional societal norms. He just quietly slips right past them. I is for indifferent. He is completely unruffled by CHARUSHASHI'S massive tantrums. But don't mistake that for laziness because the next D is diligent. The boy is exceptionally hardworking. Whether he's perfectly cooking fish for the boatman or diligently learning English, he puts in the work. He's U, unassertive, meaning he never uses his natural charm to manipulate people. He's O, blissfully oblivious to the massive wedding preparations happening right under his nose. Because of all this, he can seem U, unempathetic to the real, heavy love others feel for him. And finally S, his soul is inherently free. He ultimately always returns to the unconstraining arms of Mother Earth. Use this framework and your character sketch will be absolutely flawless.
Tagore's use of language here is just incredible, and you should definitely quote this. He writes, "He swam in the murky water of the world with pure white wings like a swan." Think about that vivid imagery for a second. The world is murky, it's muddy, it's full of heavy attachments and greed. But the swan, it swims right through that mud and its pure white feathers never get stained. That is Tarapada. He can adapt to a traveling Jatra troupe, a poor village, or a massively wealthy Zamindar's household, and he never lets the dirt of worldly attachments stick to him. He engages with the world, but he refuses to be trapped by it.
Let's jump to Section 3, Comparative Dynamics, Tarapada versus CHARUSHASHI. To truly understand our free-spirited guest, we have to look at his polar opposite, the 9-year-old Zamindar's daughter, CHARUSHASHI. And guys, her psychological evolution throughout this story is a masterclass in character development. Look at this timeline. She doesn't just stay the same angry little girl. On day 1, she exhibits hostile jealousy on the boat. As a spoiled, only child, she is absolutely terrified of losing her parents' undivided attention to this charming new stranger. By week 2, that jealousy ferments into destructive anger. This is when she famously smashes his beloved flute. But as the months pass, it morphs into this incredibly complicated infatuation. She realizes she cares for him, so what does she do? She tries to possess him. She tries to lock him down. And the absolute climax of her arc? When he vanishes on the day of their wedding, she doesn't throw a childish tantrum like she would have on day 1. Instead, she just closes her door and experiences the profound, silent, agonizing heartbreak of an adult. It's a tragic but beautiful transformation.
When the examiner asks for a comparative analysis, and they often do, this is the slide you want to mentally reference. It is a direct, elemental clash. On the left, you have Tarapada, internalized wanderlust, endlessly calm, composed, and detached. All he wants is absolute individual autonomy. On the right, CHARUSHASHI, pure, externalized emotional volatility. She is fiercely possessive and jealous, and she desperately desires relational control and domesticity. The entire narrative tension of Atithi boils down to this: Tarapada's existential, breathing need for open space, crashing headfirst into CHARUSHASHI's desperate, suffocating need to hold on tightly to the things she loves. It's like trying to catch the wind in a jar.
Moving on to Section 4, Essential Symbols. We're breaking down the flute and the river.
You absolutely have to talk about symbols in your thematic answers to hit those top marks. These aren't just pretty background details, they are the story. First, the flute. The flute is the physical manifestation of Tarapada'S innate artistic freedom. Its breath, its music. But here is the real kicker. When CHARUSHASHI smashes it in a fit of rage, expecting him to cry or get angry, Tarapada is completely unperturbed. Why? Because it proves his freedom is internal. He isn't attached to the piece of bamboo. The music is inside him. You can't break that. Then we have the river and the boat. These constantly represent movement, transition, and this restless nomadic energy. Tagore uses them as a razor-sharp contrast to Motilal Babu's massive Zamindar mansion in Kantalia. The mansion is heavy, it's stationary, it's anchored to the ground by societal expectations. The mansion is domesticity, the river is freedom.
You will also see this recurring motif of animal imagery. Tagore calls Tarapada an ideal child of nature, and frequently compares him to a young fawn or a deer. Don't gloss over this. Point it out in your essays. Why a deer? Because wild animals have an innate, instinctual wariness of traps. Just like a fawn knows not to walk into a snare, Tarapada subconsciously senses that too much human affection, a cushy life, and domestic comfort are actually gilded cages. They are traps meant to cage his free spirit, and his instincts tell him to bolt.
All right, Section 5. This is the payoff. Let's look at the ISC exam revision guide.
10-mark questions can be super intimidating, but they don't have to be if you follow this strict 4-step blueprint. Examiners love structure. Step 1, your introduction. Don't just summarize the plot. Immediately identify the core theme, like the clash between freedom and domesticity. Boom, you've shown you understand the deeper meaning. Step 2, dive into the character contrast. Show how Tarapada's detachment acts as a mirror, reflecting society's rigid expectations. Step 3 is non-negotiable, textual evidence. You must embed at least 3 specific incidents or quotes to back up your points. And step 4, the conclusion. Always tie your argument back to the title, Atithi, and what it tells us about the transient, passing nature of life. Follow this, and your logic flows perfectly.
Now, for those tricky logic-based MCQs, the board doesn't just want you to memorize what happened, you have to understand the why, the motivation. Why did Tarapada approach Motilal Babu's boat in the first place? It wasn't because he was a poor, helpless orphan. It was because he wanted a lift to Nandigram to go chase a new Jatra group. Why did he cook for the boatmen? Simply because he has a naturally diligent, active disposition. He likes being useful. Why did he stay calm when the flute broke? Because he possesses an ascetic-like indifference to material things. And the big one, why did he vanish on the wedding day? because formal domestic bonds, no matter how luxurious, represented the ultimate trap for his wandering spirit. See the pattern? Every single answer routes right back to his fundamental, unshakable need for independence.
Want to know how to turn a good answer into a great one? Memorize these 4 short, high-value quotes. Seriously, examiners eat this stuff up. Describe Tarapada as feeling that constant inner tug of freedom. Compare him to a gust of wind that you can feel but can't hold on to. Mention how, wherever he goes, he effortlessly reigns over the whole village without even trying. And for your conclusion, write that he eventually returns to the unconstraining, unemotional arms of his Mother Earth. Dropping these specific poetic snippets into your paragraphs proves that you aren't just skimming a summary, but you are actually engaging with Tagore's brilliant literary voice. And really, this right here brilliantly summarizes our entire explainer today. If you take nothing else away, remember this. Atithi isn't just a simple, sad story about a boy running away from a nice home. It is a profound, universal commentary on the human soul seeking ultimate liberation. It's about fighting against society's constant, well-meaning, but overbearing urge to bind, to tame, and to civilize that wild soul through things like marriage, routine, and duty. Tarapada is the embodiment of that untamed part of the human spirit that flat-out refuses to be put in a cage.
So, I'll leave you to ponder this massive question as you organize your study notes. What do you think? Did Tarapada make the right choice by disappearing back into the unknown, preserving his independence? Or is true freedom actually found in bravely committing to the bonds, the responsibilities, and the people we choose to love? Keep thinking critically about these amazing characters. Make sure you use those quotes, and best of luck on your ISC exams. You've totally got this.